News for Jackson Chief Meteorologist David Heckard. Well, here we are in the month of November, and we actually have two named storms on the board. In fact, this is only the third time it has happened in the satellite era in the month of November, and it leads to the question, how often do we see tropical storms and hurricanes in the month of November, and what's the likelihood they would actually hit the state of Florida? Let's first off talk about tropical storm climatology. There's no doubt about it, November is the last month of hurricane season. In fact, you can see our chart really begins to tick down, especially for the back end of the month of November. We probably average around one named storm in this entire time period between November 1 and December 1. You can see things really drop off as we move into the month of December. That's why hurricane season comes to a close in the month of November. But no doubt about it, we're beginning to wind down the season out there, and a large part is conditions just aren't super favorable for tropical storms and hurricanes to develop. Got a couple of things working now against them. One is water temperatures have cooled, especially into sections of the North Atlantic. Get up here in the Carolinas, this area here near Bermuda, they're now really beginning to see those water temperatures cool. But even areas like the Gulf of Mexico, water temperatures are not as cool as they were earlier. The other thing we're beginning to see more and more of are cold fronts. They can now work their way all the way past Florida into portions of the Caribbean. And oftentimes those fronts are associated with wind shear, which is a great job of ripping apart systems. So in the month of November, there's really only two areas we kind of keep an eye on. One is in the open Atlantic back into sections of the Western Caribbean, and then there's another area out here in the open Atlantic that oftentimes ends up becoming more subtropical systems that eventually become extratropical, what we sometimes call bomb cyclones into portions of the North Atlantic. But they can hit the state of Florida. In fact, the last one was 2020. If you remember Ada, which was a pretty powerful tropical storm, made landfall near Cedar Key, and it did impact Jacksonville. In fact, it's the first to impact Jacksonville in 170 years of record keeping. Now, the good news here is Florida doesn't get hit that often in November, but we have had some significant strikes. In fact, the one line you see here near Naples, that was Tropical Storm Mitch that came through in 1998. And we also had another one, which some people remember, Hurricane Kate. It really blasted the Florida Panhandle back in 1985. So we can definitely see hurricanes in the month of November and tropical storms here in the Sunshine State. But the good news, they're pretty few and far between. And I don't see anything on the horizon, at least over the next couple of weeks in the tropical Atlantic heading towards Florida. I'm Assistant Chief Meteorologist David Heckard for Channel 4, the local station.